This story, like most operation stories, starts in the most routine way possible. A customer called us because their new servers didn't install correctly. They just received the latest generation of Dell servers with iDRAC 10, racked them, powered them on, and ran the same automation they'd been running successfully for years. But it failed. When we dug in, the failure pointed at something fundamental: boot order management. And that's not optional in bare metal provisioning. Boot order is one of the core levers that you pull to control how systems provision, reprovision, and recover. If that breaks, everything becomes unreliable. So we and the customer contacted Dell, and their response: everything works as intended. Turns out they had changed the call from writable to read-only. And what did they tell us? You should have read the release notes. It turns out that Dell had pre-implemented a Redfish spec change, first partially in iDRAC 9, and then deprecated the calls in iDRAC 10. This change hadn't been formally released yet, but since Dell helps drive the official Redfish spec, it will ultimately be in the spec. So this is like time travel, because the servers are really just visiting us from a future where they're already incompliant. Of course, we have to welcome them into our data center. Now we've got two problems. First, the spec hasn't officially changed, so this is going to be a one-off. And second, we ultimately have to support two different Redfish behaviors simultaneously. Oh, and there's a nasty third problem. There's no way to tell that the behavior changed until you call it and it fails. This illustrates a key principle that operations teams have learned the hard way. You cannot assume that an API implementation is consistent even within the same vendor or version. This customer didn't miss a migration window. They didn't skip an upgrade. They bought new hardware and discovered that the ground had shifted underneath them. Here's what trips up all teams who build bare metal automation. Supporting multiple vendors simultaneously is a genuinely difficult engineering challenge. Your software has to identify what it's talking to, understand which rules apply, and then do the right thing without breaking everything else. That complexity grows over time. And as this story shows, buying from a single vendor does not isolate you. This is exactly why we built Digital Rebar the way we did. When new behavior shows up, we adapt without breaking the old behavior. And our content is site neutral. It works across all generations of hardware, platform, and vendors. That is a lot of work, but we only have to do it once. So if you're keeping up with our releases, an iDRAC 10 Now server just works. You don't have to rediscover this issue or the next one. If you are DIYing your own bare metal automation, I hope that this video helps you prepare for the upcoming Redfish changes. But I also hope that you'll look at Digital Rebar, because we know how much effort it takes to make bare metal automation work, because that is our mission. For most companies, keeping up with all this is just toil that's costing you time and money. So give yourself permission to do something that takes your company forward instead of spending more time working on bare metal.